Now being
last
recorded.
class, I think last class we just started with the biological factors, okay, and I just told you what are the three biological factors which are quite important, okay, and I also can anybody be able to tell what are the biological factors we considered to be important,
Biological half-life,
which
absorption,
one
and
we
metabolism.
discussed? Yeah, excellent. And we also just I just told you what are the other physicochemical factors which may be important, some of them at least, okay, because there are many other physicochemical factors as well as biological factors which may influence what you can call it as selection of drug candidates. Even that we listed out. So So biological half-life was the first one what we considered. So biological half-life is the most important criteria, as I told you, and biological half-life, it in turn, what you can call it as, affects the rate of delivery. Okay, it's very important. And I also told you biological half-life is governed by what you can call it as ADME. That's what I told you the other day. Or the pharmacokinetics of the drug is governed by absorption, okay, distribution, metabolism, as well as elimination. Of course, the rate of each one, okay, which in turn will determine the pharmacokinetics or indirectly the half-life. So biological half-life we identified for our convenience, especially for the convenience of this chapter or for the convenience of a formulation scientist, what I can call it as. We classified them into three categories, if you can recall. Okay, you remember what are they?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Ultra short acting, long acting, and short acting.
Yeah, excellent, excellent, okay, for our convenience, that is, okay, you need not think it's an what you can call it as universal classification. For the formulation development scientist, this is the classification what you need to look at, okay, as you rightly mentioned. Is it clear? So for our convenience, you classify the drugs into three categories, okay, ultra short acting, and long acting. Okay, so which one is best suited for controlled release? It's short. Yeah, got your point, ma. It's short acting, pa. Please correct yourself. Okay, neither ultra short acting, okay, nor long acting or suitable. I also told you the reason for that. Ultra short acting, what I can do is that at this point, the limitations with that is that they invariably require a huge dose. Yeah, they invariably require a long dose. They invariably require, because they are ultra short acting, they require a large dose. Okay, and that is the reason what usually the convenient dose. I'll discuss again the dose. What can be the most convenient dose? Anybody knows? For example, what can be the most convenient dose for a tablet? It's a general question, pa. It's a general question to all of you, because all of you, I'm very sure, would have swallowed tablets. Yes or no? Yes? Answer na. Would have swallowed or used tablets? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So what may be the dose would have swallowed? Approximately. Big tablets also you would have swallowed. Okay. Sometimes you would have complained of the. Okay. Nihal is telling 100 mg. Any other answers? What can be the maximum dose you would have swallowed?
For paracetamol, 650 mg Dolo.
For example, all of you would have had fever. Yes. 650. Yes. Okay. Dolo 650. Excellent. Okay. So the maximum dose somebody can swallow, an adult dose I'm talking about, can be a maximum of 1 gram. Please note it down. Okay. Anybody will ask you this. Even if you go for a company interview, people will ask you. Okay. So the maximum dose is 1 gram. Is it clear? That is 1000 mg. So what will happen in case of the drug with ultra short half-life? When you want to fabricate or you want to develop such a, what you can call it as, dosage form, what will happen is that dose will cross 1 mg. That's what is the limitation. So they are unsuitable. Okay. And so the other extreme now. Okay. Okay. The drugs with long half-life. Why they are not suited is my question. Any answer? Yeah,
So
ma.
maybe onset of action is late.
Not late. You're somewhere closer, but you're not able to express it. Duration of action will be longer. That is exact terminology. Understood? Okay. So there is no need for you to develop a sustained release or a controlled release formulation. Is it clear now? So duration by themselves, okay, the intrinsic property of the molecule itself is such that, okay, they are long acting. So you give only once or twice a day. The conventional dose itself is given like that. Is it clear? So you don't require to develop a sustained release formulation out of it. Shall we proceed further now? Yes? Yes? So the best suited are the ones having short half-life. Having a half-life between how much? Yes? Which are best suited?
3 to 4 hours.
Yes, excellent. Okay, drugs with having a half-life of 3 to 4 hours. That is the moral. Okay, that is the theme of the whole discussion. Okay, drugs having a half-life between 3 to 4 hours are well suited. Example of the drugs are, one is diclofenac. Okay, yes, there is something called aceclofenac. All these come under such category. You go and do a survey. For example, somebody can do a survey, okay, by collecting only the information regarding what are the controlled release dosage forms which are available in the Indian market based on the classification. Classification is, you know, the chemical classification, okay, based on the category of the drug. There's a classification, okay, something like antihypertensives, okay, something like anti-inflammatory, analgesic. You have the chemical classification you study. In each category, for example, okay, you see which drug is available in the Indian market as a modified release dosage form, that is as a sustained release or controlled release. Okay, so always it is better that you product, especially for example in case of product development, which is part of pharmaceutics, it's always better that, okay, that you come out with new products. Okay, you identify them and come out with new product. For example, there is no, for example, appropriate antiretroviral drug which is going to cure what you can call it as COVID-19 right now. Any drug you have encountered which can be used?
Remdesivir.
Yes.
Favipiravir, sir.
Remdesivir? Remdesivir? Huh?
Favipiravir.
Huh?
Hydroxychloroquine.
That's again a new molecule. One, I agree with you. Okay. So when you really want some new, excellent part, excellent. Yeah. Yeah. You came out with at least few molecules which have been tried. Okay. But it is not proven. For example, hydroxyquinone is an anti-malarial. Am I correct? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? Which again doesn't have any proof that it will act against the virus. Okay, similarly dexamethasone. What's the category of dexamethasone?
Steroidal molecule.
Okay, you would have studied dexamethasone of late in your B Pharm only. Steroid. Yeah, used for?
Yes, sir. For aldosterone,
Hello?
I think, sir.
Okay, it is used as a painkiller. Yeah. Okay. So there is a huge scope for you people to find out what you can call it as develop a product. That's what I always feel. I'm very proud to be what you can call it as a pharmaceutical technologist even till date. Okay. This is the reason I'm telling you. And there is a lot of scope for you people to do patent also. That's why I always encourage all of you students to take up pharmaceutics. Is it clear? I being a head of the pharmaceutics department would like to encourage. Okay. This is the reason I'm telling you. Are you able to understand? Yes. So you should know what is there in the market, what not is there. Are you able to understand? Yes. Okay. For that, at least you should do the gap analysis. This is what is meant by gap analysis. Always I keep telling transdermal is my favorite area because I work deeper and deeper in transdermal. Okay. It's a very niche area. For example, as you can see, very few transdermal products are available in the market today. Yes, but slowly you are able to see that few transdermal products are launched. Any one product that is launched, anybody knows?
Sir, one thing I know that some vaccines are also they are trying to give in transdermal patches,
Yeah,
but it is
nice,
in
nice.
still in research only, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Complete.
Otherwise, which is okay, good. At least you have made an attempt to learn whatever it is. I'm very happy for that. Okay, I went to US around 10 years back. Okay, and that is the area which I was offered to work on. There was no choice for me. Okay, that was a lab which was exclusively working on transdermal drug delivery. So that is the reason I identified my domain there and I have kept working there. Okay, so in India market, very few molecules are available as transdermal patches. Okay, new patch is one such example. NuPATCH. Okay, diclofenac sodium again, the same molecule is available as a transdermal patch. Like this, very few patches are available. Fentanyl patch is one more. Have you heard of the drug fentanyl? Have you heard? How many of you
No,
have
sir.
heard? Yeah,
I heard, sir.
fentanyl. Please refer. Yeah, what is the category? Anybody? Yeah, excellent, ma. Excellent, Aditi. Yeah, good. Okay,
Sir.
good.
Sir, one more Bubadisic patch is there, sir.
Which one is that?
Bubadisic patch.
Okay, which is a drug?
I don't know, sir. I forget it.
Yeah, find.
And
Yeah, find out
patch
now.
is there, sir. Diclofenac.
Yeah,
Okay,
diclofenac. Yeah, maybe there are different brands. I agree with you. Okay, I'm just talking about molecules like this. These are known as, for example, novel drug delivery system. This is a chapter where we deal with, so far what I'm been dealing is control release. The other category, what you are going to study this year will be novel drug delivery systems. Okay. Similarly, what kind of novel drug delivery systems are also available in the market? For example, DPI, this will come under transdermal, all this will come under a novel. Okay. Example even is ocular implants. Have you heard of ocular implants? Yes. Have you heard of ocular implants? It's nothing but nothing big. Yeah. It's ocular implants. Yeah. Tell Aditi. Tell ma. Yeah. Yes. There is some contact lenses. Have you heard of contact lenses? All of you would have used, some of you. Is it clear? There is something called even medicated.
Yes, they're like they're surgically inserted.
Yeah. You need not even insert them surgically. Okay, people wear contact lenses also. For example, it can be a replacement to what you can call it as your own glasses many a time. Is it clear? So people have to just put it on and put it off. Okay, the only limitation with that is, for example, there is chances of dust getting accumulating. All those things are there. Is it clear? That is the advantages and limitations of contact lenses. Similarly, there is something called medicated contact lenses also. Understood? Yes? You will be really astonished to hear so many products which some of you may not know. Okay? This is one such example I'm talking about. Okay? There are some, for example, parenteral preparation which are used for sustained release. There are one injections every 2 months. Have you heard of such injections? The insulin products. Are you able to understand? So many diabetics are there in India also. Just find out who is using what and tapa. Can't you do that? Okay. Yes, you can sit at home and do and enhance your knowledge. Is it clear? That is all your expectations. Okay. That is about biological half-life, and you came to know which are suitable or which are unsuitable. Both you studied. Okay. Now, for example, the next is absorption. I already spoke about absorption in the last class. I just told you. Okay. I just told you in the last class what kind of drugs, ideally speaking. Okay. Ideally speaking, the drug should be what you can call it as well absorbed through the GAT. Okay. Yes, well absorbed through the GAT. If at all you want to formulate them as an SR. Okay. I think I told you this. Yes, you remember? So ideally speaking, any drug that has to be formulated as a SR or CR, yeah, should be absorbed uniformly throughout the GAT. And even this, you people who are very familiar, I just told you, okay, most of the drugs what you're using today, 80% of them, 80 to 90% of them, I think I told you about organic acids. Okay, organic molecules. That is the importance of your organic chemistry. Okay, always study organic chemistry, will really come up in life. Is it clear? So
Yes, sir.
I just told you 80% of the molecules are organic acids or organic bases. Okay, and you also identified and told me that I was very happy that acidic drugs are getting absorbed from which place? Hello?
Stomach.
Acidic drug. Yes, excellent. Acidic drugs are absorbed from the stomach, whereas basic drugs are absorbed from the
Small intestine.
yes,
Small intestine.
yes, small intestine. Excellent, excellent, ma. So, but there are certain exceptions. But ideally speaking, as I told you, for a drug to be a good candidate for an SR, a drug has to get absorbed uniformly throughout the GAT. That is, starting from the stomach till the small intestine or whatever it is. Is it clear? And we also saw what was BCS classification. Yes, you remember? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
BCS classification also we saw, and BCS classification is biopharmaceutical classification scheme, and where the drug is divided into 4 categories. Okay, class 1, class 2, class 3, and class 4. Class 1 is the one, for example, these are the drugs having, please jot down, please note down. Anyhow, I'm sharing the PPT, but still you note down. Class 1 are the ones which have got good solubility, good permeability. Class 2 is the one which have got the solubility as poor, whereas permeability is good. Class 3 is the one where, for example, solubility is excellent, but permeability is poor. And class 4 is the one where both solubility is poor and permeability is poor. Is it clear? Yes? Are you able to understand? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, and next is, most important is this one, approaches in drug development, not design or drug development it is actually. Okay, there's a small mistake in the title, approaches in drug development, because we only talk about here, yes, how well the drug can be developed. For example, even in this classification also, class 1 are the drugs which are most suited for sustained release, whereas class 2, okay, as I told you, has got what you can call it as solubility issues. So you have to do something to improve the solubility. So I've already listed out some of the approaches which can be used to enhance the solubility. And again, class 3 drug, for example, now the next is, yes, there are again some permeability issues. So something has to be done to enhance, some approaches has to be used to enhance the permeability. And class 4 are the drugs which have got both solubility as well as permeability issues. And there are certain approaches to improve both solubility as well as permeability. All those approaches have listed in a single chart. This is what, and the same chart is present in Pharmaceutics Lab 1. Okay, yes, all of you please note that, or you can always have this handy, so you can always remember. Okay, this should actually, you should be able to remember. Okay, it should get embedded in your brain, so that you should never forget this. So once you realize the importance of this, that is what is a BCS classification. You can use this classification to develop molecules. Is it clear? So we'll move on to the next absorption. So we always tell, as I told you in the last class also, we always tell the substance has to get well absorbed either in the stomach or the intestine. Then that is what you got to study. So one step ahead if you want to tell, and this is what you need to tell. For example, again, there is a mistake there. I'll tell you in the first statement what I've done. So you usually assume the what you can call it as the gastrointestinal transit time as 8 to 12 hours, and a compound having the half-life between 3 to 4 hours. Okay. So you have developed a product having a half-life between with a compound having a half-life of 3 to 4 hours, and the standard gastric time is 8 to 12 hours. Okay. Then what should be your absorption rate constant? All of you have heard of absorption rate constant. Okay. Yes. So the absorption rate constant would have studied in your biopharmaceutics, Ka and Ke. What is the equation for Ke? Simplest equation for Ke. Ke is equal to 0.693 by T half. What is that? Have you studied or no? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Indirectly have you studied or no? Then?
In reaction,
then 0.693 by even here you have studied. I think I've told that equation. Is it clear? So that is elimination rate constant. Similarly, okay, there is something called absorption rate constant also. Are you able to understand? Which you would have studied in biopharmaceutics. Please refer that. Okay. So the absorption rate constant should have this value. That is approximately 0.2. Please remember. Okay, it is given a range now. What I put up, it's a range. At least remember, it should be 0.2, 0.2. Okay, so that around 80 to 95% of the drug is getting absorbed. That is what you have to ensure. Okay, you should not develop a controlled release product or a sustained release product, which does not even release from the small intestine or even the stomach. There are chances. Even companies also have done that. I have seen. Okay, either there'll be an immediate release where it behaves like a conventional dosage form, or what will happen is the tablet will never get released. Both things are going to happen. Is it clear? Are you able to understand? Yes? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that is known as either dose dumping or system failure. It's called as. Please remember the terminologies. The first one is called as dose dumping, where all the dose is released in one shot, or it is called as system failure. Is it clear? So sustained release. Okay. The next point is sustained release may not benefit compounds having an absorption window only in that is jejunum or duodenum. Okay, you have heard of active transport. Yeah, some. Okay, it's against the concentration gradient. Excellent. Uses the ATP. Excellent. Has anybody heard of carrier mediated transport?
Yeah, through proteins.
Yes. So there are some carrier proteins which are present along the GIT. Are you able to understand? Some carrier molecules will be there. Okay. So the inner surface of your gastrointestinal tract can be called as the mucosal surface. Outer surface of your GI tract can be called as serosal surface. Okay. So the drug has to get absorbed from the mucosal to the serosal surface to get absorbed. That is what is called as absorption. Are you able to understand now? Yes. So your intestine especially is surrounded by rich blood vessels which surrounds the intestine. Did you get my point? So your intestine will be there. Surrounding the intestine will be rich blood vessels. So the inner surface of the intestine is called mucosal surface. The outer surface can be called as serosal surface, which is in direct contact with the capillaries or the blood vessels. So absorption is a process where the drug can be moving from the mucosal to the serosal side. Okay. So carriers will be present. Okay, they are not present all along the GIT. That's what you can call it as limitations. Okay, carriers will be present only in certain regions of the GIT, especially in what you can call it as I have mentioned there, jejunum and duodenum, or some of the what you can call it as a region in where the carriers may be present in abundant quantities. Okay, for example, many nutraceuticals are absorbed only from these two regions. Okay, example, many nutraceuticals, for example, if I remember, okay, I have worked on nutraceuticals, drugs such as, you cannot call them as drugs, nutraceuticals such as iron, calcium, riboflavin, and several other vitamins will be absorbed only from what you can call it as either jejunum or duodenum. Is it clear? So these what you can call it as transporters are also called as are present only in certain regions of duodenum and jejunum. Example, transporters of most of the nutraceuticals. So if at all the drug is transported through any of these transport systems, okay, which are located only in particular region, okay, what will happen is your controlled release or sustained release may not be a good choice for you. Okay, because what will happen is your controlled release formulations will release the drug in a slow fashion or a controlled fashion, starting from the stomach till the intestine. Okay, so this approach may not be the right approach. So in that case, you have to go for what you can call it as a gastroretentive drug delivery system, which may be beneficial. What do you mean by gastroretentive drug delivery system? Any idea?
Like any
Yeah, ma.
implanting of any, sir.
Not implant, ma. Okay, it is nothing but the dosage form stays in the stomach, releasing the drug in a slow fashion. Okay.
Sir,
Yes?
is it about the dosage form, the capsule or the tablet floats in the GI fluid so that it stays for a longer time?
Excellent. Do a survey on whether there are any such products in the Indian market. Do.
Okay.
Is it clear? Are you able to understand?